Okay, the first step's going to be to move the shroud on the dash here, and then we're going to remove the steering wheel shroud as well. We're only really going to need 2 tools to do this. And this is a 2017, 2016 Rubicon Wrangler, but all the Wranglers are pretty much the same. This is the hardest one to do because of the shroud around here sits into the steering wheel a little bit. All the other cars are much, much easier, but it still is not that hard to do. So let's show you. Straight up, you're just going to pull this cover back. If you've got a plastic pry bar so you don't scratch anything, you can use them to unclip it. But most of you guys that have been working on your own vehicle, it's very, very easy. Just 4 clips. Make sure none of those clips stay in the car. You can actually keep them and pull them off and put them back on here if you need to. So that's very easy to come off. Now, there's only 3 screws underneath here, and they're going to be Torx screws. So what that means for you guys that don't know, it's a little star screw, okay? So if you can see that there, can you see it in the video? Is that all right? Little star or a hex top. Okay, so this is a T20 screwdriver, Torx. So T stands for Torx, and 20 is the size. Now there's 1 screw in the middle here, and there is another one on the side or either side in the holes, okay? So a little silver one here and 2 black ones. Now, it can vary from different model to model. They might be in a different location on some of the older ones, but very, very similar. So let's undo those first. It's only these 3 screws, okay? There's one. And this one here is just sort of going to feel around a little bit for. There it is. And you'll see there already the shroud's starting to come off up the top there as we undo it. They're a little bit tight, so you're going to need to use a little bit of force. But they're long black ones, okay, so they just bite into plastic. Now, a lot of people trying to do remote starts on these things pull the steering wheel off. That's a hell of a lot of work. So you can pull the steering wheel off, but that is really, really hard. Probably not required. So some of these older Jeeps, these covers are really easy to get off, so you're not going to have any issues. Literally, we're showing you on the hardest one to do. So all right, once we've got the screws, we're going to lock this down into the down position. We found is probably the easiest way to do this part. And all you're going to do is actually pop it up now. So this can be a little bit fiddly. So you're just going to pop it, sort of pull the shrouds away from each other. There we go. Now, once you push it up and in towards the front of the vehicle, because it's got to come out from behind the steering wheel on this back section, so you can see it's sitting behind. So you've got to slide it up and out. Can be a little bit fiddly. Let's see if we can get it easily. There you go. All right. Then you can sort of lift it out and you can sit it somewhere safe. And that is the top shroud off. Now, all we're gonna do is get behind the key barrel. So this is on the driver's side, so it's different for American vehicles. This is Australian vehicles only, this kit. And there's a plug just behind here that we're going to undo that we need to clip into. Now, because of this shroud sits in the steering wheel, it is very hard to get it completely off. So we're just going to move it out of the way so that we can get to the plug. So the way we do that is we have to pull the shroud up and forward over the key barrel. And then we can pull it down and you can get quite a good bit of flex in this without damaging anything, okay? So it'll actually sit right down, as you can see there. Now, this little module here is the one we want to work on. So you can see this little black module, and just, I'll see if we can get in the footage, in there is a plug. Now that plug you can actually undo. You can actually put your finger in through this hole, makes it a little bit easier as well, and it'll help you as you undo it. So let's check that out and I'll show you how it's done. So I'm going to hold this down. I'm going to try and use one hand. Now, this plug will go out towards the rear of the car and it's got a locking tab on it, which I'm going to show you. And the locking tab is closer to the center of the column. So there you go, I've just undone it. So this is what the plug will look like. And that's the locking tab on the top of it there, okay? So when it's sitting in there, it's actually facing this way, okay? So you can see it facing that way. So when you reach your hand in, you're squeezing with your main pointing finger, okay, and you're pressing that in and pulling it away, and you can get to it quite easily. So that's the plug we're going to use for our main harness. So we're going to go get that now, and we're going to plug that in and make sure we put that back into the position we need. And then we just need one more wire. That's it. All right, so this is the part you're going to need. This is your T-harness. Now, we have modified this. This is to suit the Australian vehicles, so it's specifically for our cars. And it's very, very easy to do. So these three here are going to plug into your main module, okay, which is our remote start module that we're adding to the vehicle. Then we have a T-piece harness, which is going to plug in right now. I'm going to show you that. And then we have one more wire to connect down on the door. Now, this wire that we're connecting down on the door, we have actually put in terminals or a plug. We're actually going to make that a nice plug for you guys. And the reason being is because you can remove the doors on this vehicle. So because we are tapping into one of those wires, we have made it so it's removable, so you don't need to keep, you know, unsoldering and soldering it back up again. So we're going to show you that in just a moment. But let's put this plug in first. This can be a little bit fiddly, but you know, if you know how the plug goes in, you're just going to have to play around for it a little bit and you'll get it. So it shouldn't take more than like 5 minutes to do. It'll only go in one way. So you'll hear it click in. So there you go, it's locked into place. So that's nice and neat. Now, we just have to get this one back in like this, okay? So we sort of put a little bit of kink in it just to make it easier to press in. And you got to give yourself as much room as possible. So you really flex this out of the way and you're not going to damage anything, but just, you don't want to be knocking this module around too far. It is a plastic that's attached. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to move probably a little bit into the camera, but you're going to stick that in there and make sure it locates into the hole. You can put your hand in first, it's just in here, and see where it's located to make your life a little bit easier. I'll see if I can do it with my head out of the way. So, locate it, you can sort of see it. Yep, there we go, slides in, and you'll hear it click. And sometimes you can use your finger to force it in. And that's that, okay? And when that'll tie up, nice and easy, nice and neat. That's all factory looming, all right? So really, really easy to do. It'll probably take you a couple of minutes if you've never done one before, but let's face it, that only took like 30 seconds. So this wire here, so this is your purple and black wire that we've done, and we've put the plug in here. We've got factory cloth tape, so it all looks genuine. Doesn't affect your warranty. You got to come down into your kick panel. Now, you're going to pass it around the OBD. But let me just get my hand, I've got my watch in the way. Around the OBD, so it's out of the way. I've just knocked the OBD cover off. We'll put that on a little bit later. And we'll bring this light down for you. Now, the easiest way to do this is we're going to connect into this door plug. Now, you can put your hand, reach up under, and there's a little a little grey plug with another locking tab, and you just unplug it. So again, this is what it looks like. You get a locking tab, just undo it. And we're going to connect into the wire in here. I believe it's the purple wire. What wire is it, do you know?
Purple white.
Purple white wire. So we're going to connect into the purple white wire here. And what that wire is, if you want to test for it, is actually, what it is the door trigger. So this is what tells the car that the door is open. And this wire we're connecting is because when we shut down the car remotely, the radio stays on until the door's open. So what happens is when we shut down the remote starter, like we press lock 3 times and shut the car down, if you want to shut it down that way, the radio would stay on. So this, out of our module, pulses it and turns the radio off. So that's all it does. It's not going to do any damage, okay? But you need to make sure it's the door wire. It is the purple white wire. We're going to strip that back and put a connection on it. And then you'll see here's where you can unplug it. All right, a little bit further back, you can unplug it. So once you've done this connection, you don't have to redo the connection all the time. You can actually still just pull the doors off. That's very easy to do. All right, so we're going to do that quickly now. Okay, so we've just got a knife here. We're going to strip this back a little bit just to connect to the wires. So if you're ever cutting along wires, make sure you go with the grain of the wires so you don't slice through everything and short stuff out. And just do it nice and neatly. Just be careful, try to cut in between wires. So. All right, there we go. Strip it all back. So there's a purple white wire. So there is a purple green wire in there, so just be careful on that one. Honestly, you can actually test it. If you have a test light, you can see if it's opening and closing on the door. You put your test light on it or a multimeter, and it should be negative when the door is open, and when you close it, the negative will drop away. So you can use a multimeter to test that. Now, you can do this 2 ways. You can solder that wire on if you want a really good connection. So we're going to solder today, but we're also going to give you a clip. So this clip will make your life a little bit easier if you don't have a soldering iron, and that's just a quick crimp. And what that does is pushes over the wire, push your other wire in, and then you push this metal tab down and they will bite the two wires together, and then you can put a locking tab over it, okay? So you don't technically need to solder, but we are gonna solder just because we have that ability here. And then once we've done that, you can tape it all up and plug it back in. And it looks nice and factory and genuine. We'll put some cloth tape back on. As you can see, the cloth tape we use is the same as what's in the car. So that tape that we use is the same once we do it all up. Should look really good. So I'll just get my soldering iron, quickly solder that. So the cloth tape that we're using is called Tessa tape. We mentioned that in all our videos. It's really the only tape we use in store. We will probably make it available on our website. Otherwise you can ring us for it. Let's grab the tape. So there you go, that's nice and neat. We're gonna plug that back in and we're gonna tie that up out of the way. So we've got a little bit of leeway here. We're gonna tie that up and make it nice and neat, but we're gonna do programming on the module first. But at least you can always still remove your doors should you go forward driving. All right, sorted. All right. So this is your main module, guys. We're going to program this module to the car now. There's a simple couple of steps that we're going to do. We're going to plug in the main harnesses. They'll only go in one way. There's only one place they'll plug in. So it's very, very easy. You'll see some red lights come up as they just did. So there you go, there's 3 plugs to do. Now we're going to open and close the door because this is an important part of the steps. You actually need to shut the door and open it, because what this does is wakes the computer's software system up. You'll see it flashing here, and all we're going to do is go ignition on to accessories, then we're going to go to the reds. You'll see it flash green. All right, then we turn it off, and what we're going to do from there is actually hit unlock. So I'll put this, and you'll see it go solid green and off, okay? And that's programmed to the car. Now the next step there, we have to learn the level of the tacho on the car. So when the car started, it needs to know when to release the starter for the remote start section. So what you do is you start your vehicle, put your foot on the brake, and then on the side of this module, there's a little button. Now we're gonna press that little button. With your foot still on the brake, press it. It'll go red. It will release, you can go a couple of flashes of green. There we go. And then you can turn the vehicle off. And that's it. So that's the remote start complete. We should be able to test it now. Shut, three lock presses. And there you go. She'll unlock, start the car, and she'll lock up again. There you go, she's locked the doors up. That's all started, so you can let it run warm. It'll run for 15 minutes as standard. You can request that it be longer, but 15 minutes is standard. That's enough time to cool the cabin down, warm the car up, whatever you need. You can come back to it then and hit unlock the doors, and take it over and drive away. So if you want to do takeover, you jump in, turn the key on before touching the foot brake, because if you touch the foot brake now and you don't have the key in, it will shut down the car. That's just security. So for example, if you had this running right now and you walked away from it with it unlocked to get something else, someone jumped in it, they can't drive it away, not without the key. So it's still a safety thing. So you can actually see, there you go, shut down. You can also shut it down from the remote, all right? But really easy. So now we're gonna tidy that module up. But one of the steps we're gonna do now is we actually do have add-on long-range remotes. If you want something longer range than these standard remotes, these are only 30 to 40 meters maximum. So we have remotes starting from about, I think it's about 200 meters for single button remotes. They're really small, or you can get long-range ones up to 4.6 Ks with LCD screens, and they alert you on them and stuff for your security. We're gonna show you how to program those remotes in a separate video, but you can add them to this module. I'm gonna demo it on this car, but I'm gonna put the video separate just to save time on install here. And I'm gonna show you also how to add the alarm kit onto this, okay? It's gonna be a separate add-on. It's gonna be available for an upgrade for you guys. It's gonna be super cheap. I think these kits, I think we're gonna have them around $279 shipped, including our taxes, everything, DHL Express straight to you. And I think the alarm add-on's only gonna be about $99 if you wanna add it on. So it's gonna be really, really cheap. And hey, you get a full security system with tilt sensor, tow sensor, shock sensor, siren, LED. So you know your car's going to be all protected, and that will work on and off with the factory remote or the long range remotes. So let's do the alarm kit now, and we'll tack that on the end of the video quickly because it won't take long to do either. All right. So for those of you that opted to get the extra alarm add-on, we would have turned the features on in this module for you, and you're gonna get a few extra parts. So we'll probably pack these all together, but it's a little add-on kit that you're gonna get. I'm gonna show you what you're gonna get. You're gonna get an LED. This is a flashing blue LED of which you can mount anywhere in the car. It's pretty simple to mount. We're not gonna show you how to mount it. You can just choose a spot for it, but you can pull this little bezel off. It actually pops off, okay? You drill a small hole for that, and it'll pop in and lock into place, okay? You can Google how to do that. Very simple. So that little LED is an indicator that you have a security system. It's a little white plug. It will go in the white plug. It's very, very simple to plug in. You can't get that wrong, okay? Now, second, you're gonna get this. This is called a DAS sensor. It's a digital adjustable sensor. Now, this sensor here is red plug, and it will plug directly in the red port on the end of the system. And this dial here adjusts the sensitivity of the shock sensor, so you can turn it up or down. Now, the kind of cool thing about this is actually a tilt sensor, a tow sensor, and a shock sensor, so you can actually mount it anywhere in the car, any direction. And when you park, it takes a reading. And if someone tries to jack up your car to steal the wheels, it's going to trigger. And this changes the sensitivity of the tilt and the tow, so you can have it 1 degree or 3 degrees of tilt. So we'll give you a little bit of instructions with those. It'll come in the box, but this adjusts the shock. So 10 is more sensitive, 0 less sensitive. It'll say off, okay? So you want to set that yourself. You can mount that anywhere in the car, double-sided tape, or you can use cable ties. We're going to give you some cable ties with it as well. So very cool sensor. This sensor, if you get an extra long-range 4-button remote, you can actually adjust the sensitivity through the remote, which is really, really cool. Now, third, you're going to get a siren. Now, we'll tape all this up when we actually send these out. This was just our prototyping. It's completely red, but we're gonna tape it up in that cloth tape again for you. And it's gonna be bundled up. And what we've done is we've put a plug on the end of this for you, all right? And that plug will actually go into this plug, okay? So any of you that opted for the alarm version will then have this plug into there, okay? And that's very easy. Now, be careful, don't plug it into this blue port here. This blue port here is if you order an LCD remote, you can put a temp sensor in here so you can get interior cabin sensing and find out how hot it is in your cabin or how cold it is with some of the LCD remotes, but we'll give you that with the LCD remotes because you don't need it otherwise. But just remember, it's a separate wire, okay? Now, we're not going to show you how to mount these things because you can choose where you want to mount them. Every car is going to be different, every year model is different. You can mount them under the bonnet and run them through into the cabin and plug it in. We've done the plugs to make it super easy for you guys. Some people put them in the cabin because if the doors are open, it's really loud in the cabin. And on these, because it's a Wrangler, the bonnets technically don't lock. So if you put them in the front section, you can actually cut them. But if you do put them in there, the cool thing about these is they are waterproof to a certain extent. If they get wet, they'll dry out. So, but there you go. That's the extra add-ons for the siren. So you get those 3 extra little things, and it's only an extra, I think, what, $99. We're going to have these available for you. And it gives you full security features, so it'll protect the doors, the boot. It doesn't do the bonnet on these, but yeah, you get that extra sensor as well, so you can turn the sensitivity up on the shock, and it should protect some of that stuff too. So that's really cool. Now, there is a takeover. We're going to return this back to normal, so we're just going to pack this up, and you just reverse it to put the covers back in, put the 3 screws back in, and put your cover on, and just mount that under the dash somewhere. Okay, mount it nice and neat, tie all your cables out of the way. We're gonna give you some cable ties to do that, and you're completely done. And that'll actually work, so actually we can quickly show you. This is how easy it is. We'll show you it working. So if we plug this in, plug the LED in, All right, and we'll shut the door. So what we'll do is we'll just latch this door. This is simulating having the door shut. And if you hit lock, there you go, you can hear the siren, LED lights up, and you can mount that somewhere. All right, so you can add a whole heap of long-range remotes. We have about 10 different kits that are available, but that's how easy it is. If you opt for it, we've upgraded the software so you can run that as well. So, all for the Australian Jeep Wranglers, 2008 all the way through. We have DHL express shipping, so it's overnight generally everywhere in Australia now, even WA. And we've also got Afterpay and Zip Money, so you can pay it over 8 weeks and get the product now. It just takes payment every 2 weeks, or 6 months interest free, man. So we've tried to make this as easy, cheap, and simple as possible. Lifetime warranty, will not affect your car's warranty. You're gonna get that remote start, security if you want it, long range if you want it. So pretty cool product. Really only took us 15 minutes on the car to do. So check it out, Carbon Car Systems on our website.